Hey everyone, in this tutorial we're going to take a look at the updated PSD character templates, which have a bit of a different structure from the previous ones in order to conform to the SVG structure. The quickest way to access the landing page for the new templates is via the Create Character tool if you click on Know More. Here you'll find resources for both vector and PSD formats, and you can take a look at the wiki to get an overview of the updated template structure. Be aware that the old templates are still fully supported. You can download the PSD templates from the landing page, and in the PSD folder you'll see a collection of the templates with different angle profiles. In this case we're going to use a 45-degree facing template. For simplicity's sake, it's highly recommended to have your character structure consistent with that of the template dummy. This means that you should have a separate image or sprite for each group listed in the layers. We'll explore this a bit more as we go along. Once you have that done, you can copy and paste your entire group structure into the template PSD. Make sure that you keep it separate from the existing group hierarchy, as in the next step, we're going to begin replacing the dummy template images with ones that we just imported. Before that though, try to align your imported character and the dummy character at the hip, and if needed, you can scale your imported character to be more consistently sized with the template dummy, or vice versa. Let's begin by replacing the main body images first, then work our way to the more detailed elements. You'll want to start with the hip group first, which should be aligned as I mentioned earlier. Simply click and drag the image from your imported hip group to the one in the template group structure, then delete the existing image. The next group we're going to replace is a bit different, as you can see that our source character has a single image for the entire arm, while the template dummy has a separate group for upper arm and forearm. Although this isn't ideal, if your character is built like this, then simply replace the parent image in the hierarchy, in this case the upper arm. After that, you can delete the child group, in this case the forearm group, as it won't contain any images. We won't worry about bone or image alignment just yet. Going further down the body hierarchy, let's look at the hands next. You can see that our source character contains 3 different hand sprites in the left hand folder that each represent gestures that can be switched when animating. We're only using 3 here for simplicity's sake, but the standard hand sprite library for Cartoon Animator G3 characters contains 30 different hand sprite images for various gesture scenarios. The process here is the same for now. Simply click and drag your hand images to the template hand sprite group, and delete the original. We can repeat the process for our character's right arm, again not worrying about bone alignment for now, then move on to the legs. Again, this character is built with only a single leg image, so we're going to replace the thigh, which is higher up in the hierarchy, and delete the shank group, which represents the calf or shin area of the leg. Okay, next let's move on to the face. The face is a bit more complex than the simple body parts, but we'll just cover a very basic example here. You can find the face subgroup under RL Image V2 and RL Image Head V2 hierarchy. I'll start by moving the actual face itself without any features. This acts as the background for things like the eyes, nose, and mouth. Next we have the nose. Be aware here that there are different nose options for different angle profiles. There's one for front facing and 2 more for 45-degree angles to the right and left sides. Be aware that these are not mandatory and depend on the rotation requirements of your character's head, which is explored more in the 360 head animation tutorials. We'll also replace the eyebrows, ears, and back hair images before moving on to the eyes. The eyes consist of 3 separate components: the iris, the eye white, and the mask. Essentially, the mask determines the area of movement for the iris. The iris will not be visible outside of the mask area when animated, so generally your mask area is going to be the same size as the actual eye white of the eyeball. This will prevent the iris from showing above the eyelid when animated. As with the other body parts we've already done, move your images into the matching template groups under the center, normal subgroups. You can actually use your eye white image under the mask subgroup as well, which will auto-generate the proper mask in Cartoon Animator later. There are a couple of other subgroups for certain expressions where the eyes are closed, but in this case these don't require eye masks or whites as the eyes are closed, so we can delete the irrelevant groups. Now in Cartoon Animator, you can see that we can move the irises around in the defined eye white area. They won't go outside the border of the eye white area due to the mask we defined in Photoshop. You can also use the Sprite Editor tool to switch the eye sprites to any of the closed images we imported earlier. Now, just like the eyes, the mouth has a number of different subgroups, used for both facial expressions and lip syncing. You'll want to include as many of these images as possible in your character's mouth library to get the best results for both. You can even add additional custom mouth shapes as well. In this example, I'm just making things very simple with basic mouth open and smiling mouth sprites. Generally, when making your own character, you'll want to have dedicated images for each one of the subgroups listed in the template dummy structure for best results. Once you've transferred all of your source images for the body, face, eyes, and mouth, you can delete the source groups that you imported in. For more details on the specific components like eyes and mouth, please check out the dedicated tutorials. Now that we've replaced all of the basic images, we can move on to refining the positioning of the bone markers, which represent the joints of our characters. These can be found in the RL Bone Head V2 and RL Bone Human V2 groups. Basically what you want to do here is click and drag the position of the joint markers to the proper place on your character's body. For example, the left arm marker needs to be positioned at the top of the arm or the shoulder, as it is the parent marker for the arm. From there, the left forearm marker needs to be positioned at the top of the forearm or the elbow. This will allow for the forearm to rotate separately from the rest of the arm. Likewise, the hand marker needs to be placed at the wrist. The nubs can be placed in the middle or end of the hands. Torso is placed in the mid-chest area, and hip will be right in the middle where your character's hip bone should be, to allow rotation of the entire torso. The markers for the legs are similar to the arms. Simply place the respective markers at the pivot point for the upper leg, knee, and ankle. The toe marker is generally placed around the ball area of the foot to allow for separate toe rotation. For the head, the neck marker needs to be at the position where the neck connects to the head to allow for proper rotation. The actual head marker goes in the middle of the head itself, and the head nub can go at the forehead or the top of the head. Finally, we have the smaller yellow crosshair markers that need to be placed basically in the middle of their matching facial features, or where you would like their source of rotation or pivot point to be. Again, this is a simple overview, and we have tutorials that go into more detail on the specific positioning for each feature. Once you're done, you can then go ahead and save your PSD. After that, simply click and drag it into your viewport in Cartoon Animator, and you will automatically enter into Composer mode, and you'll see your character's bone structure has been generated based on your marker positioning. You can enter Preview mode and click each bone to test the rotation results. You can also enter into the 360 Head Creator tool to refine the positioning of each facial feature depending on the rotation of your character's head. Please check out our dedicated tutorial for more on this comprehensive tool. And that's it. You can now apply any animation to your character and get immediate results. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.